Okay, so I watched the Baki Hanma vs. Kengan Ashura film, and honestly, it's peak. During this video, I'm going to spend some time talking about the things that I liked about the film, as well as some nitpicks that I have about it. Obviously, this video is going to have some spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film yet, go and watch it and then come back to this video. I want to give just a quick little backstory on why this film means so much to me personally. I've been a fan of Kengan Ashura for 3 or 4 years at this point. I've seen the anime like 8 times through, and I've read all the manga. Kengan Ashura was one of the first animes that I got super into, and it got me into the greater anime fandom as a whole. It also led me to watch Baki, and now I consider the two to be some of my favorite animes of all time. So when I heard about this film coming out, I didn't think it was real. I mean, I'd read the collab chapter that Kengan did with Baki, but I didn't think it was gonna go this far. The topic of Baki vs. Kengan was so interesting to me that I actually did a video essay on Baki vs. Oma for one of my final college projects. So, without further ado, let's talk about some of the things that I liked about the film. Pretty much every single frame of this film made me super giddy. I'm probably more of a Kengan fan than a Baki fan, and seeing some of my favorite Kengan characters and the unique 2D art style that Baki has was awesome. I loved their choice of characters to include in this film. It had a lot of the recognizable Baki characters like Doppo, Shibukawa, Oliver, Retsu, and Katsumi, not to mention the fighters Hanayama, Jack, and Baki himself. And on the Kengan side of things, they included some fan favorites like Kowlon, Cosmo, and Seki, which had some bigger speaking roles. Then they added some of my personal favorites like Adam, Sen, and Fang. As well as the fighters, Sa Pang was an obvious choice because of the collab chapter that included Doppo and Pa Pang, and Ryan is a fan favorite, so they had to match him up with another fan favorite like Jack. And then finally, the Ashura. Oma vs. Baki, which was just fucking peak. I got chills when Oma used his advance. I like how each character got to interact with their respective counterpart in one way or another. The Julius and Oliver stuff was pretty funny and in character for both of them, and the interactions that Adam and Chiharu had were golden. The fights themselves were also incredible. I liked how in each of the fights, the Kengan characters got some of their most memorable frames mixed in there. The fights also emphasized the similarities the fighters had, like Sa Pang and Hanayama preferred a slugfest, Ryan and Jack were crazy, and Baki and Oma lived to fight. And when Kuroki and Yujiro showed up at the end, my heart started racing. The whole thing had me fanboying like crazy. Pickle kinda showed up out of the blue, but that's okay because he and Oma had a nice little interaction. And I liked how Sayaka and Jerry were the commentators, since Baki doesn't really have commentators outside of the narrator. Now, I know I've been glazing this film for a while, but that does not mean it's without its faults.
Bruh. Bruh.
Yeah, this film is really short, and I feel like that holds it back in a lot of ways. Now I appreciate how they just jumped into the fights almost immediately, but if it's rushed, that means we can't really build any tension. And with such a short runtime, it means the fights are gonna be shortened, which really sucks, cause that's what we're here for. And personally, I would like to see a bit more character interactions, but you can only have so much of that with the short runtime that we have. And I know I talked about how I liked the animation, cause seeing the Kengan characters in 2D was cool, but during the Sa Pang and Hanayama fight, it was really noticeable how they were reusing animations. And I know they have their reasons for doing so, and it didn't really take away much from my enjoyment, but it's still a nitpick I want to mention. Speaking of animation, I do like the 2D art style that they used, and I think it was the better choice compared to the CGI style of Kengan. Most people get turned off by that CGI art style, but I really enjoy it. I like the fluidity and freedom that comes from being 3D animated. I feel like if they did use the CGI style, the fights would feel a lot less stiff. And on the topic of nitpicks, Ryan's voice acting, at least in the dubbed version, is not very good. The rest of the cast is fine voice acting wise, but Ryan is just ugh. He's voiced by the same guy that voices Cosmo, and the voices are so similar that it's actually kind of funny. It just ends up sounding like Cosmo doing a bad impression of Ryan. The voice actor doesn't really capture that guttural craziness and toxic masculinity that Ryan produces. That being said, this is just a nitpick and it didn't take away much from my enjoyment. And my final nitpick is how the film ended in a draw. Before the film came out, I made a prediction of what would happen. I said that Hanayama would win against Sa Peng, Ryan would win against Jack, and the final fight would end in a draw to keep both fandoms happy.
And unfortunately, I was right!
Now, they did kind of salvage it by teasing a sequel, and if they do one, I hope we get a clear winner. And as of now, those are my only gripes with the film. Overall, this film was a fun, exciting experience, and one that I am very happy that we got. This film gets a 9 out of 10 from me. It doesn't get full marks because of how many nitpicks I have, but still, the film was an incredible watch. I might have left a few things out, and I may not have talked about your favorite part, but if I didn't, comment down below and tell me what your favorite part was. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.
Bruh.